Welcome to our next step in the explanation of the National Monument to the Forefathers. We're going to look at morality. She's the first seated picture or seated statue. And one thing I wanted to clarify here, in the last segment, I had mentioned that they were putting, Faith had her foot on Pilgrim's Rock. Well, some people have called it Pilgrim's Rock, but it's known primarily as Plymouth Rock. So I correct myself on that one without going back and re-editing everything. But y'all get the idea. Anyway, so we're going to look over here. And we see morality. Morality is the first seated statue. Now, one thing to notice about morality, which is seated, and faith, which is standing. Faith is a never accomplished reality. It's always moving forward. You can never attain perfection. But when it's a seated statue, that means it has been completed or fulfilled. Because of faith, morality can be accomplished. What you learn from this book, with a trust in the God of heaven and his son, Jesus Christ, it can be fulfilled and accomplished. So morality, you'll notice that her foot is on Pilgrim Rock. There we go again, sorry, Plymouth Rock. So in her right hand or left hand, this hand here is the Ten Commandments. And this hand is the scroll of Revelation, meaning from the beginning to the end, the Old and New Testaments of the Holy Bible are their standard for morality. Bradford said this about morality. It is well known unto the godly and judicious, how ever since the first breaking out of the light of the gospel in our honorable nation of England, what wars and oppositions ever since Satan hath raised and maintained and continued against the saints. He's talking about the 100 years wars of religion and the crusades for centuries of people fighting over religious issues. And the 100 years wars of religion was Christian against Christian, Catholic against Protestant, and Protestant against Protestant. So it was all over rites, rituals, and ceremonies of how the Bible was supposed to be understood and the rites, rituals, and ceremonies of a certain denomination. We look back on that now and it doesn't make any sense. But you look at the Muslim countries today and you see basically the same thing going on. But anyway, morality, if you notice her eyes aren't defined. They're looking inward because morality is an inward thing. It's not an outward thing. You can train people to do certain things and behave certain ways on the outside, but it's only from that internal morality that you can have that internal self-control according to the Bible from beginning to end that will make you the best citizen. The Ten Commandments, they said, defines one's relationship to God in the first four, and then in the last six is man's relationship to man. We have already noted that the Pilgrims desire to obey God's law as it related to their relationship with him. However, it is of note that Bradford describes their obedience to the last six by indicating how the Dutch reacted to their godly character. So this is what William Bradford said about how the Dutch people reacted to them living in their country, and actually the influence that the Pilgrims had in the community of Leiden, Holland for the 9 years that they were there. They were actually there originally, and there's actually some there now that never did come over here. Though many of them were poor, yet there was none so poor that if they were known to be of that congregation, what we call the Pilgrims, John Robinson's, Pastor Robinson's congregation, the Dutch, either bakers or others, would trust them in any reasonable matter when they wanted money, because they had found by experience how careful they were to keep their word, and saw them so painful and diligent in their callings. Yea, they would strive to get their custom and to employ them above others in their work for their honesty and diligence. The Dutch people were more than welcome to loan them money. They preferred to hire these people over anybody else because of their honesty and diligence. They knew that if one of these people would tell them they were going to do something, then they did it. And they did it because of their concern with their Heavenly Father and what He thought about them. Now, each one of these statues has different components to it. And in front of this, there is Pilgrim's Departure. But I'm going to concentrate on this little baby right here first before we get over here. Maybe we even do a separate segment of this. But anyway, this right here is, it could be called a frontispiece. And this is the 12 stones of priesthood from the Levitical priesthood established by Moses in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, we're told that Jesus Christ was the fulfillment of the law, and that that you no longer had to have a priest to sacrifice. So in the New Testament, we see this in 1 Peter. It says that ye also as lively stones, not the stones that we see here that are just rocks, but lively stones, living stones, are built up a spiritual house, not a temple house like the temple in Jerusalem, but a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Jesus Christ. But ye are a chosen generation, the individual Christian, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of Him who hath called you out of darkness into this marvelous light. So here we see this royal priesthood and a holy nation that was established from beginning to end of the Holy Bible for that internal morality that would make the way and pave the path for civil society. So we're going to pause here and we're going to come back and we're going to look at this in a little bit more detail. Pilgrim's Departure.